to the brave defense and security forces, to the volunteers for the defense of the homeland, I am going to express my gratitude and anger and pay tribute to them here. Because thanks to them,
Ibrahim Traoré's bold stand in Geneva represents a moment of profound significance, not only for Burkina Faso, but for the entire African continent and the future of global diplomacy. When faced with a humiliating demand from the American administration,
potentially seismic changes for the US-Africa relationship, this bill is recommending a comprehensive review of the bilateral relationship.
Ibrahim refused to bow, choosing instead to uphold his country's dignity and sovereignty. The demand itself was insulting, one more example of the subtle but persistent colonial mindset that has long undermined Africa's place in international relations. But Ibrahim's response was far from ordinary. In the midst of a world where many African leaders have been coerced into submitting to foreign powers, often for the sake of diplomatic or financial gains, Ibrahim Traoré made a choice that would forever alter the course of history. His refusal to participate in a ceremonial salute demanded by the American president was not just an act of defiance, but a declaration that dignity and sovereignty cannot be compromised no matter the stakes. What followed was a movement, one that rippled across Africa and beyond. His response wasn't just heard in the halls of Geneva, it reverberated throughout the continent and the world. From the streets of Ouagadougou to the global social media platforms, Ibrahim's words and actions became a rallying cry for dignity, respect, and the right to be treated as equals on the world stage. The impact of his stand reached far beyond the confines of political discourse. The African Union quickly embraced the significance of Ibrahim's defiance, with an emergency summit called in Addis Ababa to discuss the implications of the American demand. Leaders from across the continent rallied together, united not only in their frustration with the current state of international relations, but in their desire to shape a new world order based on mutual respect and sovereignty. The summit culminated in the signing of the Addis Ababa Declaration, which laid out new protocols for African diplomacy and demanded the recognition of African nations as equals, free from the burden of past colonial condescension. In the months following the Geneva incident, Ibrahim Traoré's influence surged. He became a symbol of what principled, dignified leadership could achieve. Universities, think tanks, and diplomatic forums across the world sought his insights, with his speeches becoming core material for political science courses at prestigious institutions, from Harvard to the University of Cape Town. He was no longer seen as a typical African leader. He had become a visionary whose actions had redefined the relationship between power and respect. The economic ramifications were equally profound. The Continental Dignity Fund, a product of African solidarity and investment, surpassed $2 billion, empowering African nations to chart their own course toward economic independence. Investments from China, Russia, and other emerging economies surged as they recognized the potential of a united, self-sufficient Africa. Meanwhile, Western nations found themselves scrambling to recalibrate their diplomatic strategy, realizing that Africa was no longer a subordinate partner in global affairs, but an equal player demanding respect. The vision Ibrahim had for Africa was unfolding. The establishment of the Ibrahim Traoré Institute for Sovereign Leadership in Ouagadougou marked a significant step in educating the next generation of African diplomats and leaders. These students, inspired by the courage of their president, were now armed with the principles of dignified diplomacy, prepared to challenge the long-standing narratives that had relegated African nations to the periphery of global decision-making. As the anniversary of the Geneva incident approached, Ibrahim stood at his office window, watching the vibrant city of Ouagadougou below. The city, once quiet under the weight of historical subjugation, now pulsed with energy, innovation, and the proud confidence of a people who had reclaimed their voice. Young Africans were walking taller because they saw their president stand tall for them. The world that Ibrahim had worked tirelessly to reshape was beginning to take form. A world where dignity, respect, and sovereignty were the foundation of all diplomatic relationships. Ibrahim Traoré's refusal to bow had ignited a continental awakening. His example continues to inspire leaders worldwide, proving that true leadership is not about submission or compromise, but about standing firm for what is right, no matter the cost. The ripples of his stand in Geneva continue to reshape the future of global diplomacy, offering a powerful reminder that true power is not measured by domination, but by the strength to remain true to one's principles.